Hello everybody. Today is a different type of style of video. I thought maybe I would just sit in this bed of moss and tell you a bit about myself and how we got here. Hello, first of all, if you haven't been in this channel before, I'm Anastasia. I do weekend ventures. This will be, I guess, technically my 17th video, which is pretty amazing, and I've really been enjoying doing it. Um, and if you're not new here, you probably know some things about me, but I thought maybe I would share a little bit. So, around 6 months ago, I decided to quit my med school dreams and have no plan, which really concerned a lot of people, and very rightfully so. I had been thinking about it for a very, very long time, and obviously, when you quit your dreams, it's not something you want to do impulsively. But I realized that even though it was my dream, it wasn't making me happy. And so I made that decision. And I guess maybe I thought maybe I'd go over that right now. And so you guys can maybe better understand why I'm doing these weekend ventures and why I've decided to film these videos. I have said it before, but these videos are kind of like home movies for me. I really love the idea of home movies, and I don't know, I know vlogging's a thing and it's very popular now, and so it's a nice transition to do it as well. But I just want to be able to look back in time and look at these adventures and kind of have a vault of media that is available for me to just kind of see, yeah, what I've been doing in my 20s. So, yeah, I am in my 20s. I am 24 years old. I'll be turning 25 this year. I went to university. I got a degree in neuroscience. I had wanted to be a doctor since I was a kid, like as young as I can remember. I was, I think 5 years old, giving my grandfather fake, heart monitors and, using my fake, shot needles and all those things. I had like a little bag I carried around with me. Something I always wanted to do. I just wanted to be always learning because I do love learning about the mind and the body, and I wanted to be able to help people and help people that I love and share love and be a sense of comfort when times are tough, because yes, you can go to the doctor to see some lovely things and to celebrate, giving birth and all those good things, but sometimes it can be a very stressful time, and I wanted to be that person that made you feel safe and had the knowledge to actually help you to the best of their capacity. So, when I was younger, that's what I had wanted to do. And I wanted to go actually into neurosurgery. And it wasn't until I got into high school and started really researching the different types of doctors I realized that's not something I wanted to do. Nothing against neurosurgery. I just realized that I didn't foresee myself being able to work um, well, from my research, I saw that neurosurgeons sometimes had to do surgeries for, you know, 30 hours or longer than that. And when I was in high school, I actually got diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, which, if you don't know what that is, don't worry. The medical system doesn't really know what it is either. But essentially, all that means is, in the most simplest terms, my body doesn't produce the chemicals to wake me up in the morning and to keep me awake throughout the day. So I do struggle with daytime sleepiness. But in high school, it was actually very bad because I was under a lot of stress. And it'd be to the point where I'd be, falling asleep at the wheel, or I would be, doing my homework, and suddenly I would be dreaming while I was writing down things in my notebook, and my stuff would be like gibberish, but I would be awake almost. It was really not good. And then I realized that if I wanted to become a doctor, I had to do something that was safe for the patients and safe for me, because at that time I hadn't been able to manage it very well, and so I was just really concerned. But I still wanted to be a doctor, and nothing was going to stop me. So I decided that when I went to university that I would do my degree in neuroscience, because that way I felt, it may be a harder degree, but I had always wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and I thought the mind and the brain was so interesting. So I thought, if I couldn't be a neurosurgeon, I will do my degree in neuroscience and I will get my education in that way and fall in love with it. And then when I become a doctor, I will be able to, use my knowledge, but also I will kind of have a taste of what I wanted to do and then find something new. And so when that happened, I decided I wanted to be a craniofacial plastic surgeon, which again is still surgery, but I really wanted to work on, cleft lips, burn victims, any sort of congenital diseases and facial reconstruction. I had made this plan from grade 12 all the way till 6 months ago, so over 5-6 years. I had decided that I wanted to do this and work with somebody who was doing cosmetic plastic surgery, and we could work together to essentially Robin Hood funds um, from the cosmetic plastic surgery, like the facelifts and the nose jobs and all that stuff that people have to pay out of pocket for, to essentially create this charity where we can do surgeries on people who have cleft lips, or burn victims like women from domestic violence, any sort of facial damage that will remind them of, some really hard times in their life. If they couldn't afford it, we could help, with that situation. And obviously, again, I thought about it a lot. It wasn't something that I was like, not everybody who has cleft lips wants us to change it, because it's more of a personal choice, but if it was something like, oh, a water droplet, if it was something like, domestic violence, or something that was, very hard for somebody and it really affect their daily life, then I wanted to be able to change that. And I know that finances are not easy to come by, so I thought maybe that'd be a really good idea. So I was really gung ho on it, and I did my degree in neuroscience, and I had an amazing time. And I went through a lot of hardship. I was very stressed. During the time of being in med school or university, I had to work full time, which is not a bad thing. I just wanted to save for medical school so I wouldn't be in debt. But that meant that, at a certain point in university, I was working like 3 jobs just to kind of work around my full time schedule so that I could save up money for med school. And it was really good, but I found that, by the time my fourth and fifth year rolled around, I was just so sleep deprived and really depressed, actually. Which, looking back on it now, it's so much more obvious. But at the time, I just thought, it was my sleeping disorder and I was just being extra tired and it was affecting my mood, which I'm sure it was. But I was also just really depressed. I didn't love the way school went. I didn't like how it was all about proving your learning through being better than others, or I did research for a bit and I loved it, but I didn't like how I had to be like, my research is better than your research, because at the end of the day, I thought it was all valuable. And I took some classes that were really, really interesting to me. I took a neuropharmacology class that was amazing. It was almost life changing. I loved it so much. And I took a biology course about moss, which, as you guys know, I love moss. And I struggled with those 2 courses because they were so information dense that I felt like I was really enjoying my learning. But in order to get the good grades, to have a high GPA, to make it into med school, I had to change my learning style and go from enjoying the learning and deep diving into different topics to really being militant about it and trying to learn exactly what I had to know, and not being able to enjoy the splendor of going deeper and really cram studying the stuff that I knew was going to be on the test so that I could get good grades. And it ended up really hurting my university experience, because I find neuroscience fascinating. I love the behavioral aspects of it. I love learning the biological aspects of it. I love the daily aspects of it. My degree taught me so much about how to be human and how to live in a very interesting way, which I can get into further later or at another time. But it kind of turned it into a way where I felt like I had to get good grades. And it wasn't about enjoying the learning process and going deeper. It was about learning the knowledge that I had to learn on the syllabus so that I could do good on the exam, and the pressure that I had put myself on it. And it was warranted. A lot of people did say at the time, you don't have to get that good of grades. It's going to be just fine. Don't stress yourself out. And I had to. And I knew I had to. And it was proven to me that I had to. So it's one of those really hard things that I didn't love about the med school process. But it had been my dream since I was a kid, so I decided to go through with it. And then in fourth, fifth, and 1 year post grad, 2 years post grad, I don't know, 3 years in a row, I applied to med school, and I was super excited about it. Everybody thought, I was a shoe in. I had a very good GPA. It was like I think 91% average or something stupid like that. And I obviously had been working since I was 13, so I had pretty decent life experience, and I'd done research and traveled abroad and all those cool things that, I did for myself, but also they really helped my CV as well for med school. And yeah, I got on the wait list 3 years in a row, but I never got in. And that was a really hard thing for me because it was a dream. And every time that I applied to a school outside of BC, I would be rejected before even the next step, before even interviews. And every time I applied to UBC for the 3 years, I would make it to an interview, and I would do my interview, and I would make it on the wait list, and I would make it until the very first day of school on the wait list. And the way UBC says that is essentially, you did amazing, you deserve to be in the school. There's not a whole lot you can do better, but, there wasn't enough spots for you this year, try again next year. And as a human and as a person, it was really hard for me because to be so passionate about something that you've always wanted to do, and to be so passionate about what you've done in your life, the places that I did volunteer at in my high school times were because I really wanted to. I really wanted to know if I wanted to be a doctor, so I volunteered at the hospital, and I really wanted to, walk dogs because I love dogs. So I volunteered at the SPCA. And the jobs that I worked were because I had to. I served for 5 years, and then before that I was a MOA and random retail stuff and managers and all those jobs, but it's because I had to. And I was really proud of where I had come in my life and how much I had grown as a human. And for somebody to tell you that's not good enough, I mean, and they tell you that the reason why it's not good enough is because you didn't get a high enough grade or a high enough MCAT score. I mean, that was a tough pill to swallow because, yeah, you can go back. I rewrote my MCAT 3 times. My learning style is just not the type that the MCAT does. Every single time I would do rough on the reading section, and that's simply because I'm a really slow reader. There's no other reason than that, and the time scale they gave you was just not long enough, and to be standstill for 7 hours for a test was not something that I was very good at, and I've never been good at it. And through my whole university career, I never did that. So it was really wild, and it was really hurting my self-esteem. And like I had said earlier, I was in a really dark place, and I got to the point where, as I was applying, I was still in school, like my final year of school, and I was having trouble getting up in the morning, and I was having trouble making it to class, and I was having trouble feeding myself and doing all those things. And so I started an Instagram, and some of you might be aware of it, but it was really personal. It was just myself, pretty much, and a couple others, and it was just to show every single day of my life. I wanted to show something positive that happened in the day, so I could remember on the days where I felt like nothing was good, that something good did happen. And I found myself taking pictures of plants coming through the concrete on one day, and then the next day it would be, hey, I got to see my sister, and I got to see my family, and I got to just eat breakfast with them. And then the next day would be like, hey, look at the way the sun shone through the trees. That just made my day. And I love living in BC, and I love the moss, and I love, being in the mountains and going for hikes, and that's what shone through. And I did that for almost a year, and it really helped me. So for anybody who is in a rough time right now, I do recommend that. It was very helpful because you also end up focusing a lot on the small things in your day and really growing an appreciation for all the things around you, even more so, even if you already are. So yeah, I did that, and I realized, some people were saying, if this is your dream, why not, further to get your master's or your PhD so that you can be a better candidate? Or why not go to the Caribbean or go to Europe, or, do whatever you have to do to make it? And I think that's really solid advice for most people. For me, I just couldn't do it. Um, I realized through making that Instagram and in my neuroscience degree, the stuff I had learned about, just being human and being myself, that if I left my happy place and I left a place where I was starting to become true to myself, that I would be more miserable than ever. For me, the things that make me the most happy are being around family and people that I love, and showing love and giving love and being in nature. And the Caribbean is beautiful. I have been blessed and privileged to be there before. Europe is beautiful. I've been blessed. I've been able to be there before. Those places don't have my family. Those places don't have, you know, the Pacific Northwest. They don't have the mossy trees. They don't have, the ecological biodiversity that we have here. They just don't have it. And there's beautiful things, and I'm sure I'd find amazing things. But to be a full day's flight away from people that I care about, my sister who's growing up right now and is in university, my parents who are getting older, my best friends, like that would be crushing to me. And I had realized about 6 months ago, maybe before, about a year ago, maybe, that a career is wonderful, but what makes me happy is beyond a career. I realized that I was doing the career because I wanted to find something that was true to my values, but in order to do the career, I had to depart from my values, and it was a very difficult decision. And I struggled for it for about, you know, the second time I applied, because it's a year process every time. I really didn't want to apply. I felt really guilty asking my references, who I cared about really deeply, to write a letter for me because I felt like not only was it burdening them, but I felt like to be like, hey, person that I really care about and I love and I appreciated my time with you, I'm reaching out to you, but I'm reaching out to you to write me a letter so that I can get into med school. And I need to be good. And I need to be on time. And it needs to be an essay. And I didn't get in, and I probably won't get in again this year, but, you know, I need you to do it. That felt awful. I really hated it. And by the time I did it for the third year in a row, and I got that waitlist message in May, I knew something had to change because it was just eating me alive. And so I started traveling then. Just before I found out about med school, I ended up flying to do my first solo trip. I went to New Orleans, and I had done solo trips before, short trips, or, I went to Europe to study abroad, and that was alone, but they were all with a purpose. I ended up doing this solo trip just for myself, just to go somewhere. And at the time, I had a partner who I was very close with, and they couldn't come with me, and I had loved them dearly, and I felt really bad about leaving. And then I realized that I had to. I had to leave. I had to discover who I was and figure out, because I thought at the time, that might help me figure out what I want to do with med school and figure out if I want to apply again, if I get on the wait list. And I ended up doing that trip. And it was life changing. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It made me learn so much about myself, made me grow so much confidence. I had, at that time, before I had left, I was still struggling with mental health, and I had thought, I'm not very good at making friends. People don't exactly want to spend time with me or whatever, like in the sense of, people are busy, and I was just taking it very personally, and I wasn't putting myself out there because I was scared about being, rejected. And I went out to this trip, and I had a great time. I met so many people, and they were all in the same position as me, and they were all just inspiring and amazing, and it changed my life. And after that, I realized that, if I had got on the wait list for med school, I was going to count it as a rejection, and I was going to figure something out. And that summer was a very hard summer for me. I went through a lot of life changes. Um, I actually ended up splitting with my partner that I was with at the time. That was really difficult. And I had no plan. I had nothing. I just was traveling. I was just going places. I started my national park journey. I was just saying yes to everything. And then in August, when I was really having troubles because I knew that I had to do my med school applications, I actually stumbled upon a video from Gooby and Dooby. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that's a channel about this person who is an MIT graduate, and he was a neurosurgeon, I want to say. He did spinal surgeries, and he quit everything just to hike, be with his wife, and be in the mountains with his dog and explore. And his reasonings were the exact reasonings that I was nervous about pushing through with med school, because at the time I felt, the process was very hard, but regardless, the outcome would be worth it. But I was worried because I had learned in my neuroscience degree about the brain and how amazing our brains are. To anybody, a different time, I can go into it deeper. Sorry, I'm getting a little stiff, but anytime I can go into it deeper, our brains are so plastic. We are so capable of learning anything we want to learn. Our mind is so strong. Emotional pain and physical pain, for simplistic terms, are essentially the same. The way we talk to ourselves in our brain, if it's negative, is almost the same as stubbing your toe, like in the damage it causes you. It's so powerful. And I was worried that if I continued on my journey and I got to med school, and at this point I decided that maybe I wanted to be a family doctor instead of a plastic surgeon. I was worried that the way medicine is now, that I wouldn't be able to be true to that, because there is a time and place for, Western medicine. When we get sick, if we need antibiotics, we need antibiotics. And there's many other very, very, very real examples. So I'm not one to speak towards that. But in neuroscience, we had learned the power of being in nature and meditating and exercise and diet. And we had learned it to the point of seeing how it affects your brain. And it's so important. And I myself at the time was depressed, and I was struggling, and I was worried that if I went back to school that, I would continue to not feed myself properly because I was stressed, and I would continue to not be able to exercise because I'd be working so much, and it would be bad for my brain. It'd be bad for my health. And, in order to help others, you need to help yourself first sometimes. And I was worried about that. And then I was also worried that when I got into the medical system, it'd be similar. One thing Gooby talked about was how a lot of his spinal patients got better just from diet, exercise, and sleep, and socializing, being with the people they love, and how they healed faster. And we learned that in neuroscience too. A lot of people who went through brain injuries healed faster when they were with family and people they love, and they were exercising, and they were eating healthy, and they had a positive mindset. He was saying how the way Western medicine is now can't always endorse it, because you need money to pay the bills, and if people got better by themselves, then hospitals and stuff would be out of business. And in Canada, we have free healthcare. It's different. But at a certain point, it is kind of similar. If I had patients that came to me and I saw, that they weren't sleeping 8 hours, or they weren't getting out in nature, or they weren't doing the things they love, or spending time with family, and they were suffering, I couldn't recommend for them to do those things necessarily. You can't say, hey, do these lifestyle changes before I give you medication, because that doesn't make everybody happy. So I was worried about that, and I saw that video, and it was I don't know, it was perfect timing. I don't even know how to explain it, but in that moment, something snapped in me, and I just decided, I'm done. I wrote an email to everybody that had been my reference and everybody who knew me, and I essentially said, I'm done with the medical school journey for now, and I have absolutely no plan. And that was scary, to admit that you just have no plan. And I just didn't know what I was doing. And now it's been 6 months, and I don't have a plan still. I really don't know what I want to do for my life career wise, but I do know what I want to do for my life lifestyle wise. I love nature. I love the people that I get to spend time with. I love meeting new people. I love just being outdoors and living. And that's where these weekend ventures came in. I started filming all these weekends to remember them all and to inspire others that, I still worked up until a month ago. I took a slight break. I'll be back to work soon. But when you work full time, when you work multiple jobs, like I worked multiple jobs at a certain point, you don't have time for anything, or you don't feel that way. And that's why I want to make these weekend ventures, because I want you to take the time out of planning. I know sometimes to figure out what you want to do in a short period of time is stressful. So I want to be the guinea pig. I want you to be able to look at these videos, see a Jug Island hike, see me sitting in a forest just chilling, and take that hour out of your weekend. Take that 45 minutes you have, or 2 hours, or heck, maybe you have half a day. That would be amazing. And go on a weekend venture. Spend time with people you love. And if you can't, spend time in a place you love. Find new places, explore new things, and take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, I'm very thankful you're watching these YouTube videos. It means the world, but the YouTube videos will always be here. And social media will always be here. And the house cleaning you have to do will always be there. And so take that hour and, go for a walk. Enjoy the sun. Look at the moss. Enjoy it, because it really changes your course of your week. And I mean, it's not a solution for everybody. Maybe, you really love knitting and you take that hour to knit. Or maybe you really love pottery and you want to, hand make some pots, or start on a sculpture, or, start painting something and then put it away, and then next weekend you'll continue from where you left off. Do something that makes you happy. Go for a run, all those things, because life is short, and it's important to take care of your brain, and it will take care of you. And we will always have time, no matter how busy your week is, take a few moments to care for yourself. And that's really all I have to say. I guess it's January now, and I leave to Portugal today. I will go back to pest control in April. For now, I'm going to go on a few more adventures because I had saved up money for med school and I'm not going anymore. So I'm going to use that to go on some adventures that I've always wanted to go on. And as far as YouTube goes, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you're interested in the stuff I learned in neuroscience, if you're interested in more plant-based videos, I would be so happy to share my knowledge. I am very passionate about those things as well. And so I'd love to do it. But until then, I'm just going to keep doing my home-style movies. And I hope that if anybody's going through a rough time, just know you're loved and reach out. I think that one thing that I had a hard time with when I was struggling was being honest with people, telling them that I was having a bad time, telling them that I wasn't okay, and admitting it to myself. So do that. It'll really change your life. And anything is possible. You are capable of anything. I'm capable of anything. We'll see. In this period of time, I have built, a mosquito. I have built up some fun little patches, I like to call them. That has been my journey so far, is collecting patches, in the sense of, I don't know what I want to do for my life. I don't know what career I'm doing, but I am very happy in the situation that I'm in regardless, and so I'm collecting patches, and I hope one day I can figure out what career that leads to. I have, you guys maybe saw, I did import a Suzuki Jimny car from Japan, which was a very big skill I learned, and it was really, really fun. And I got my dream car. I got my commercial license, my commercial driver's license, so that if I wanted to do taxi driving or drive shuttle buses, I could do that as well. I have been working on this social media thing. As you guys have seen, it's definitely interesting. I've taken a lot of courses. It's not as easy as it seems, and so I have a great respect for everybody who does that as a career, because it is kind of wild. And currently I actually just enrolled in a forest therapy practitioner course and a forest guide course. It's not till the summer, but I thought that'd just be really fun to increase my knowledge and to learn new things. It's kind of a beautiful branch off from my neuroscience degree in a path that is more aligned with my values and mindset than where I was heading before. But until then, I'm just making it work. And I hope that I can just be a light to your Tuesdays or inspire you guys to do the things that make you happy and to just show you guys some beautiful places. Right now, where I'm sitting, the sun is poking through the trees and it's starting to come my way, and there are birds chirping, and it is absolutely beautiful. I will show you actually. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And I hope this video brought some value to you guys. I didn't really have a plan with it, and I am honestly just gonna upload it the way it is. If you guys, sorry, there's a bird that just flew right in front of me. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If there's anything that I left out that you think I should address, let me know. But until then, I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers, but really, I'm just trying to show these movies and show where I'm at. So thank you for just watching and enjoying, and I'll catch you next Tuesday. I'll flip back so you can see this bird. Okay, bye!